They say travel broadens the mind, except with Americans, which tends to widen the arse. A lot of people quote the fact that only 10% of Americans have passports. The thing is, they say it like it's a bad thing. Don't get the wrong idea, I've got nothing against Americans. Just one came up to me after a show a couple of weeks ago and said he thought I was patronising. I said, well, I think you'll find that's pronounced patronising. It means when you talk down to someone. Don't worry, I'm not being condescending. I'm far too busy thinking about important things you wouldn't understand. I'm not sure if you're aware of this. Did you know you're 10 times more likely to get mugged in London than you are in New York City? It's because you don't live in New York City. See, my favourite news story of the last year came from America. I'm sure you all saw this story in the papers or on TV. It was a story about a man in Utah, an American man, who he was out rambling in the wilds of Utah, the beautiful desert landscape, and there was a rock fall, and he got his hand trapped underneath a massive boulder, and he had to sever his own hand in order to walk to freedom. Incredible story about human courage and spirit. Did you all see that story? Well, I can't believe anyone saw it and didn't ask themselves the question, because I think it does beg the question, would I be able to do that? I've given it quite a lot of thought, and I think, yes, I would be able to do that. What do I care about an American's hand? If it's life or death, I'll cut his fucking head off. The other story that sort of tickled me from America, not quite as inspiring, I'll be absolutely honest with you, was the story of an English woman and an American man. This made the papers earlier in the year. They were flying from JFK to London Heathrow, never met each other before, flying in first class. They just knew each other for 8 hours, and they were arrested as they came into land at Heathrow. And the reason they were arrested was because the lady was filleting the man. I mean, sucking off. Yes, as they came into land, the lady was filleting the man. I myself prefer a boiled sweet. I just can't quite imagine how that happened. Presumably, at some point, she turned to him and said, "My ears are popping. Have you got a boiled sweet?" And he said, no, I haven't, but I've got an idea. You going to McDonald's? You might go in there later on. You might need a poo. Have you noticed how underneath McDonald's it still says restaurant? Who's that for? Who doesn't know what McDonald's do? And also, restaurant. Is it a restaurant? Really? You guys are a couple, right? How long have you been together? A year and a bit. OK, so long-term relationship, a year and a bit, you've been together. How annoyed would you be, madam, on a scale between 1 and fucking very, if next Valentine's he said to you, yeah, I booked a restaurant, yeah. Yeah, I spoke to the maitre d'. Yeah. Ronald, I think his name was. He was either the maitre d' or a 5-star general, because he had the whole bit, aren't he? I've organised a table for 2 and he recommends the filet-o-fish. You'd fucking kill him, wouldn't you? And who doesn't know what McDonald's do at this stage? You'd have to have been living underground for 25 fucking years. Was ist das? Hamburger. Schnitzel. Schnitzel for the Fritzer. Oh. I got stopped outside of McDonald's. This guy said to me the other day, he said, this cheap food is only made possible by GM farming, cruelty to animals and the exploitation of workers in the third world. I said, all right, hold up. You had me at cheap food. I'm going in, there's no need for the hard sell. All that other stuff is just a bonus. It's very much like, after talking to you for about an hour, it's like being at a dinner party and realising you're the only one on cocaine. You find yourself thinking, they're not a very chatty bunch. If it wasn't for me, this would be shit. I was going to tell you a story about a gig I did recently. I did a gig for Mojo magazine. It's a big, you know, pop magazine. And did a gig, it all went well. I was doing their award show for them. They invited me on. They said, yeah, will you do our awards? I said, my pleasure, lovely. Lots of rock stars and rock chicks, be cool. There was the awards there. I was just doing sort of 10-minute stand-up to begin with. I told a slightly anti-American joke. I said, of course, in Britain, we've got eat as much as you like restaurants, whereas in America, you've got eat as much as you can. You've added that important ingredient, competition. So not only could you be enjoying a delicious meal, you could be beating a personal best. Thus, the necessity for 3 pockets on the back of your jeans, you fat fucks. And a voice from the back of the room shouted, "Fuck off!" I thought, I presume you're American, are you? He said, yes. I said, think of it as friendly fire. He then shouted, "Fuck off" again, but louder. I thought, well, I better deal with this. I said, I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, the only reason I got into comedy and doing this kind of thing is because I thought it would be a bit of a fanny magnet. I wasn't expecting a cunt like that. At which point, the editor of Mojo magazine, who was sitting just down here, got up and looked like he was going to come around and pull me off. Not like that. That was funny, well done. No, you go ahead. I sort of signalled to him to stop. I signalled to him to stop. I said, I'm sorry, sir, it was a cheap shot. It's a bullseye, doesn't matter. And I apologise unreservedly, sir. I did not mean to... Well, I mean, the thing was, the line got a laugh, but then there was an audible, ooh. I thought, well, who have I told to fuck off? It was a guy called Anthony Kiedis, who's the lead singer of the Red Hot Chili Peppers. And I'd noticed on the way in that he was on the cover of Mojo magazine, and I wasn't. I thought, this is a social faux pas of epic proportions. You know, and I thought, well, I better apologise unreservedly. I said, I am sorry. If I've caused any offence, I'm sorry. I did not mean to call you a cunt. I'm sure you're not. I'm sure you don't have the depth or the capacity to give pleasure. I'd say comfortably 4 minutes later, I was presenting him with a Lifetime Achievement Award. I broke up with a girl once because she lied about her weight. I say that, she died in a bungee jumping accident. You see, because she was heavier than... Has anyone got anything he could be colouring in? You look like some kind of surfer dude. What's your name?
John.
John? Where are you from, John?
The United States.
Well done. John, do you know the difference between a British soldier and an Iraqi soldier? Know the difference? And what do you do, John? What are you doing over here? I don't need to check your papers. I'm just checking, you know, just asking.
I'm a college professor on vacation.
You're a college professor on vacation. OK, sounds like a setup for a movie. With hilarious consequences. And then he asked me for a fag. Oh. Fanny? I thought he meant bum. Oh. Yes. So what do you teach?
I teach philosophy and religious studies.
Philosophy and religious studies. Well done. So, do you teach philosophy to the brighter kids, and then if they don't get the hang of it, you go, oh, just believe in God, don't matter. Is this racist? Do Chinese people have guess who? I tried that joke for the first time in a tiny little 50-seater theatre above a pub, and there was a Chinese lady front and centre, and she laughed enough that she sort of bent forward, and it looked like I'd gone, no. It's creepy. Genuinely weird. I like to think of myself as an equal opportunities offender. I like to think I offend everyone and therefore no one, because it's kind of a blanket bombing approach to offence. It's like I'm not picking on any group, and also I'm not really making any points, am I? I'm just trying to make you laugh for a couple of hours. That's my only job in this world. I'm not trying to make any points or change anyone's mind about anything. And the best defence of a joke is always, it's just a joke. I was only joking. Relax, we're just trying to make you giggle. when you try and say something that's true, earnestly, from the heart, that's when it can fuck up much more spectacularly in your face. I've got a story about this. Do you want to hear it? Yeah. It's a story about PC blowing up in a friend's face. So this mate of mine, it's quite a long story, which is unusual for me, but it's a doozy, you'll enjoy it. This mate of mine runs a comedy club, okay, at a university. He's in his mid-60s now, he's been running it since the early 80s, it's a legendary club. Anyway, runs this thing, he's quite a right-on kind of guy. If there's a petition to sign, he's signing it and forwarding the email to me. If there's a march to go on, he's on the march. Very right-on, political, involved kind of guy. Anyway, he runs this comedy club. This incident happened about 12 years ago. He decided to put on a night of American stand-up comedy. There happened to be 3 American stand-ups in London the same weekend. Okay? So he decided, well, instead of just booking one of them, I'll book all 3 of them. We'll make it like a themed evening, like the 4th of July. We'll get hot dogs and Budweiser and what have you. It'll be fun. So everyone comes to the evening. There's like 300 people in the club, and he's all excited about it. The first act goes up on stage. He's a black American stand-up out of New York City, and he does what I would refer to as an Uncle Tom routine. If you're not familiar with the terminology, that means he did a racist routine. All his jokes were based on negative, racist stereotypes. He got away with it. He was a very charismatic performer. He was very handsome, but the material was terrible. I mean, it was like, at best, it was white guys drive like this and black guys drive like this. Nonsense, ill-observed nonsense. At worst, it was stuff that would make your skin crawl, okay? He totally got away with it that night. He got a big round of applause at the end of about half an hour set, and he walked back to the green room at the club, and my mate went in after him, and he went up to him, and he said, I want a word. You'll get paid for tonight's gig, there's no problem with that, but you would not be welcome back at my club telling those kind of jokes. I think it's racist, I think it's wrong. I don't think it's okay for you to tell racist jokes just because you're a black guy. I think if anything, you should know better. I think it denigrates the struggle of the African American people, and you can never say that no one's told you so, because I'm telling you so right now, it's racist and it's wrong. And the comedian went, I agree. When you're right, you're right. But I'm the other black comic. I haven't been on yet. Hello, I'm Jimmy Carr. Thanks for taking a break from the pornography to watch my YouTube channel. Don't forget to click like and subscribe. Now, back to jerking off.